Hey everyone, and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex, and in today's video we have the review of the New Balance SuperComp Trail, a shoe that we have used with Tim and Sandra in the crazy 55 kilometers challenge that we did through the Alps. You can go check this video here upper right hand corner. This shoe was sent to us by New Balance, and I run a French retailer that we are starting to work with. You can see their logo right here actually. And although it looks like a sponsored video, the review is not sponsored. It's transparent and unbiased as always. They are sponsoring the rest of the content, helping us produce some nice stuff, but the reviews remain independent like we always do. All right, and before reviewing the shoe, we will actually go to Chamonix. I'm gonna take you with me. I met Paul from the product team that was in charge of this shoe, designing it, making sure it has lots of nice features, and believe me, it does have some. Paul will explain how this shoe was imagined, how it was created, and we'll come back later here to review it and go step by step in it.
We started with the base of a racing shoe within our range, and thinking about our marathon racing shoes, knowing that athletes are covering 42 kilometers in that shoe, generally they still want a little bit of support or a little bit of midsole underfoot because of just the time on feet and the distance that they're absolutely running. No matter how great of a marathoner you are, how fast you are, after 42K, your feet are gonna be fatiguing in those last 2K, and so you do want a little bit of structure underneath the foot. So we started with a marathon racing shoe, what we call base form, or nets or widths of the platform. We added some additional width in the heel and some additional width in the forefoot to that platform to make sure that runners had area to land and impact if they were descending in the heel, and then also opportunity to be able to climb and feel as if though they have an amazing platform under the forefoot, so that if they're climbing, they're able to really dig in and get the traction that they seek. But also when you're adding width or more material or more midsole, you're obviously adding weight to the shoe as well. So we really wanted to, as you say, find that sweet spot that felt like you had something that was nimble and quick. This is an elite trail racing shoe, of course, but something then that also was still protective, so that if you were running super long distances in it and felt fatigued, you felt like the shoe could go the distance for you.
I'm just gonna explain how the upper works on this shoe. It's actually a very nicely fitted upper. Probably, I'm almost surprised to say it, one of the best uppers I've seen on the New Balance shoe. I really enjoyed the one on the SuperComp Trainer V1 and on the RC Elite V2. This is definitely in that type of uppers. You know, nice padding in the heel, lots of comfort, but something that is, you know, nicely placing around your foot. Not too narrow, not too wide. And if anything, I would rate it as going more on the narrow side of things, but not necessarily because of the volume, because of the width. Platform isn't super wide on this shoe, and that translates a little bit to the upper, to the fit, but nothing too bad here and nothing to worry about, I would say. Areas of improvement, in my opinion, for the upper of this shoe, that will be the toe protection, a technology called Toe Protect here by New Balance. It's not super sturdy and it's not super strong, super hard. I can imagine people hurting themselves, and I think that was the case of Tim during the challenge we did in the Alps because of some rocks going, you know, against that toe protection, and you can feel them against your toe. So that's something I think that could be improved. Another thing would be maybe adding just a bit of padding to the tongue. It is quite flimsy and quite thin. Very nice in terms of, you know, getting a nice lockdown. Here it works well. But in terms of comfort, it could be better. No lacing pressure, and that's absolutely fine. But it's more just, you know, as a, let's say, general comment, that's something I could see being improved. All right, let's go back to Paul. I asked him about the midsole, if he can explain how the FuelCell is used. So let's go back to him, and I will then explain how it worked for me. Did you pick a specific flavor for a shoe that needs to serve very different purposes from the ones on the road?
Yeah, I think you absolutely, it's the perfect question, because the idea in this project wasn't just to take a road shoe and put a Vibram outsole on it. It was really about taking the trail runner and the trail racer in mind, while also adding these road innovations. As you mentioned, FuelCell has been a platform that has really represented amazing energy return and responsiveness that has existed across racing shoes and training shoes. And in the case of the FuelCell SuperComp Trail, V1, we knew we had to do two things. Really live up to that energy return and responsiveness that the Fresh Foam platform provides runners on the road, but also do it in a way that provides the security and the ground feel that trail runners crave, especially when they're in agile moments, needing to go left and right or up or down or over rocks and roots in some case. So that's why we ended up with a 2-density midsole when it comes to the SuperComp Trail V1. And the reason we did that is to provide a lower density fuel cell foam on top, one that is lighter weight than the one that's on bottom, but also one that provides just incredible energy return, especially upon impact on the ground, especially also upon step in when putting the shoe on for the very first time. The top foam, fuel cell foam in the FuelCell SuperComp Trail V1 is the same fuel cell foam that is now used in FuelCell SuperComp Trainer V2. The bottom of SuperComp Trail V1 is the same as what the Trainer V1 was. And the reason we have swapped in the Trainer was to have something that was lighter weight than what was the foam previously. That was how we were able to reduce so much weight from the Trainer V1 to the Trainer V2. So really, I guess in some way, this trail shoe is a mashup of those two when it comes to the foam choice. Carbon fiber plate sits in between that, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second. But then the bottom layer of the midsole is a slightly denser version of FuelCell, one that we've used in other shoes before, such as the FuelCell SuperComp Trainer V1. And the reason we went with this little higher density FuelCell foam on the bottom is to provide a little bit more ground feel, a little bit more security as well, so that the shoe isn't necessarily feeling all wobbly and dynamic in a way that you wouldn't feel confident when climbing or descending in it. But then also what it's doing is providing just a little bit more durability in the way that it then bonds with our outsole. So that way you can have really great confidence in knowing that the shoe isn't only going to last you one race, but is going to be a great training and racing companion.
As you've heard from Paul, 2 different layers of foam here on this shoe, of FuelCell, and I think it's really interesting to see how New Balance is using FuelCell through the years to really, to serve different purposes. And this is one of them here for the first trail shoe with FuelCell and with the carbon plates sandwiched in between the 2 layers of FuelCell foam. Something I said about the spike from New Balance, the LDX, FuelCell works really, really better, and at least for me, when it has some sort of stabilizer elements in between that could make some foams feel firmer, but that actually works really, really well for FuelCell because it doesn't feel as mushy and plush as on some other shoes. Like for me, the Rebel V2 or even the latest SuperComp Trainer V2 that are a bit too soft for me because I think the plate isn't as stiff and as thick as on this shoe. Here, FuelCell really, really works well. I think it works even better on some gently rolling terrain, gravel roads, and stuff where you can actually produce some efforts and get some speed, go through the paces. That's the ideal case for this shoe. It likes a bit of speed, and as you can see, the rocker in the forefoot isn't super pronounced. It's like a gentle rocker. It's asking you to push a bit on your toes and to move faster. It's not a shoe that I would rate as being the best on technical terrains, but in terms of trail shoes, for gently rolling, even flat terrains, gravel, even on the road, it's a very nice shoe. So probably something more like, Western States and not UTMB if I had to pick a course that suits this shoe the best. But it worked at UTMB, and that's also thanks to the outsole. Let's go back to Paul. He will explain a bit about it, and then I will tell you all the secrets about the Vibram outsole and how it worked in very, very muddy conditions, as you can tell by the shoes, in the Alps. 3 different technologies. What's the role of each of them in the outsole?
Yeah, it's a fabulous question. I'll start with the Vibram light base. What light base does is allow for us to have a thinner base web of rubber on the outsole. And what that does is just ultimately reduce weight. In a lot of cases, the outsole of the shoe is the biggest offender when it comes to adding weight to product. Trail product, of course, you want durability and traction and protection. And so we build up the outsole, whether in the lug or the base rubber, to make sure that trail runners get the grip that they need or get the durability that they're seeking. In the case of light base, it helps us reduce the thickness without reducing the protection and without reducing the durability especially as well. Mega Grip is just an amazing performance outsole compound that Vibram has been using for many years and that we've used across our trail range for many years, including on the Fresh Foam Hero model series and also previously on the Fresh Foam X More, Trail More V2. We have switched to a different compound in the Trail More V3 for different reasons, but Mega Grip really represents the pinnacle of outsole compound from Vibram. And the micro traction lug is really fun. When you get up close and detailed to the outsole of this shoe, you see these almost little nubs on the leading edge or the biting edge of the lugs, whether going downhill or going uphill. And what those are doing are just providing just one additional traction element that is helping provide traction in loose environments such as gravel or sand. And so it's essentially just an added security blanket of sorts in those loose materials.
The weather conditions for our 55-kilometer challenge were absolutely horrendous. The terrain was super muddy and we were worried, even skeptical to be honest, that this outsole, this shoe could handle it. And it did. I must say that I'm still very surprised it handled so much mud. And it was only like in the worst, gradients descending that it was lacking grip. But I think any shoe would have. Other shoes would have worked. It's not the only one. It's not making it the best shoe ever out there. But definitely the outsole on the shoe was tested and proven in bad conditions. And it did work. So yeah, congrats New Balance. Let me maybe quickly tell you how I would rate this shoe compared to other trail shoes out there. This for me goes into the top 3 trail shoes that I have tried, especially for flatter rolling terrains, not too technical, where you can pick up a bit the pace. Definitely a shoe I would consider. It has some drawbacks, but it has lots of positives. One of the drawbacks is maybe the price at 220 euros. I find it a bit steep, to be honest. I think 200 would have been better, maybe even 190. But on the other hand, it works well and I don't have that much to complain about with respect to this shoe. If you're ready to have one of the best trail shoes out there, 220 is the price, go grab it. Iron, partner of this video, partner of the project with New Balance. Go check their website in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. Enjoy your run today, enjoy your ride, and go beyond your limits. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.